Hello everyone, and good morning. It's your host, ichino-ani here. How are you all doing today? It's November 20th. A wonderful Thursday. Let's get our minds working with a super interesting article from the archive. Today, we're diving into the world of mass-compute interaction, or as the cool kids say, is.her. The title is Biased Minds Meet Biased AI. How Class Imbalance Shapes Appropriate Reliance and interacts with human-based rate. Phew, that's a mouthful, isn't it? And the curl is perceive or coordinate 11.14,591. Wow, so long. Okay, so what is this paper all about? Imagine you have a robot friend, an AI, who helps you make decisions. What if both you and your robot friend had your own little quirks or biases? This paper looks at what happens when a biased human and a biased AI work together. It's like a team-up, but maybe not a good one. First, let's talk about AI bias. The paper focuses on something called class imbalance. That sounds complicated, but it's simple. Imagine we're teaching an AI to recognize different diseases. If we show it 100 pictures of dengue fever, only 5 pictures of the flu and 5 pictures of the common cold, what do you think the AI will learn? Right? It will get really good at spotting dengue fever, or it might start thinking everything is dengue fever. That's class imbalance. The data is not balanced. Now, let's talk about human bias. We're looking at something called base rate neglect. This is our human tendency to ignore how common or rare things actually are. For example, let's say a very rare disease affects 1 in 1,000 people. Even if a test is 99% accurate, a positive result doesn't automatically mean you have the disease, because the disease is so rare to begin with. But our brains often forget that first part, the base rate, and we jump to conclusions. So the big question in this paper is, what happens when a person who ignores base rates uses an AI that's biased from class imbalance? Do the biases cancel each other out, or do they make things worse? To figure this out, the researchers did a really neat experiment. They had people act like doctors and diagnose fake patients. The patients could have one of 3 things: the super common cold, the regular flu, or the very rare dengue fever. The participants used an AI tool for help. But here's the trick. Some people used a balanced AI, which was trained fairly on all 3 diseases. Others used an unbalanced AI, but one that was trained on way too much dengue fever data. First, people made their own guess. Then the AI gave its advice. What? It's so fascinating. First, the biased AI really confused people. When they used the unbalanced AI, they kept shouting, "Den, den, den." People started to not trust it at all. They ended up just relying on themselves, even when the AI was actually correct. They just couldn't tell when to listen and when to ignore it. With the fair, balanced AI, people were much better at collaborating. They learned when to trust the AI and when to trust their own gut. But here's the most amazing part. The biases didn't just exist side by side. They teamed up. A biased AI actually made the human bias worse over time. After using the biased AI for a while, people started guessing a rare disease, dengue fever, more and more often. It's like the AI's bias was rubbing off on them. Even before the AI gave its advice, their own initial guesses started to become biased. The paper calls this a compound human AI bias. But there's good news too. The unbiased balanced AI did the opposite. Actually helped people get better. It acted like a good teacher, gently correcting their tendency to ignore how rare dengue fever was. So a well-made AI can actually help reduce our own biases. Isn't that cool? How does this apply to our daily lives? Let's think of some examples. First, let's talk about those online symptom checkers or health apps. Many of us have used them when we feel sick. If the AI behind that app is trained on biased data, like in the experiment, it might scare you by suggesting a very rare and serious disease for your simple headache. It can cause a lot of unnecessary anxiety, something called hyperchondria. You might rush to the doctor for no reason, which puts a strain on our healthcare systems. This study shows how incredibly important it is for these tools to be built with balanced, fair data to avoid causing panic. Second, let's think about accessibility technology, especially for helping older adults or people with disabilities. Imagine an AI-powered smart speaker that helps an elderly person manage their health. If the AI is biased, maybe because it was trained on data that underdiagnoses heart conditions in women. It might dismiss a female user's serious symptoms as nothing, as this paper found. If the user feels the AI is systematically wrong or biased, they'll stop trusting it and stop using it. The technology that was meant to help becomes useless. The balanced AI, however, could be a life-saving companion. And for a third example, this goes way beyond healthcare. Think about high-stakes situations like hiring for a job. Some companies use AI to screen resumes. The AI was trained on the company's past hiring data, and that company mostly hired men for engineering roles. The AI will learn to prefer resumes from men. Now imagine a human recruiter who has their own unconscious bias, and they see the AI also flagging mostly male candidates. It might confirm their own bias. They might think, "See, even the computer agrees with me." This is that dangerous compound bias in action, making discrimination even worse. This research is a huge warning sign, but we need to be so careful. So the big takeaway today is that AI bias isn't just a technical glitch. It deeply affects our own thinking and our ability to make good decisions. It can make us confused, less trusting, and can even amplify our own worst biases. The solution isn't just to fix the AI, but to design AI systems that understand and account for our human quirks too. That's how we can build a future where humans and AI can truly be a great team. That's all for today's trending article. I hope you all had fun and learned something new. This is your host, ichino-ani, signing off. Have a fantastic day.